Hello, everybody. Welcome to our weekly Lunch and Learn. I am Larissa McCook, and today we are talking about the fastest way to release the pressure of perfection. And I think if you are a perfectionist, maybe constantly aiming for flawless perfection whenever you try to do something, you think you have to do it all and you have to do it right. Maybe you get really easily offended when someone offers you a suggestion because, God forbid, you may have made a mistake. You're really in the right place because that's what we're talking about today. And I want to know where you're coming in from. And if you're tuning in by replay, type in replay in the chat. If it is your first time here, type in first time in the chat. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Larissa McCook. I'm an author, speaker, and CEO of Larissa McCook Coaching, and I lead highly successful, motivated people through their mental barriers and into unstoppable confidence, authenticity, and empowered lives. And my team and I, we work together. We like to rock the boat. We like to get you out of your comfort zone so you can stretch beyond your boundaries and truly radically transform your life and claim your future, because you absolutely 150% deserve it. So I remember when I used to be in this perfectionist world. I used to try to do it all. I used to be highly critical of myself. I remember in school, I used to punish myself for not getting good enough grades and my parents, they never did. They were okay with them. And I used to go out of my way to punish myself for all these crazy things that I thought I should be doing and wasn't. It was a really strange kind of feeling because I always felt like I had the higher standard for myself than anybody else did. And when I really looked down at it, I realized that I was so pushed by fear. I had created these unrealistic standards. And whenever I had these goals that I didn't meet, I would get really down and feel horrible about myself. It really didn't feel good. I was always afraid of making a mistake, especially if someone else saw it. Like, raise your hand, say, yeah, I can relate if this is something you can relate to, because I think perfection, this idea of doing everything beautifully and perfectly, it's almost turned into this badge of honor. Right? People are recovering perfectionists left, right, and center. And I talk to a lot of people each and every day. I talk to so many people, and so many of them are like, yeah, I know I'm a perfectionist. I shouldn't be, but I just can't help myself. It's almost like it's something you know you shouldn't do, yet you can't help yourself because you've been conditioned to do this. And it can really be a detrimental thing. There's a lot of excuses and a lot of reasons for having perfectionist tendencies, but they really do lead to defensiveness. I remember growing up, anytime someone would give me a suggestion, I would get really highly offended. I would completely shut down. I would grit my teeth. I'd swallow and I'd grab my fingers really tight. And it really felt bad because I thought they were threatening me. I didn't think I was good enough. And I didn't know what to do about it. Right. And so this really does put a hamper on your success. It leads to depression, anxiety, paralysis of analysis, because you get stuck in this loop. You really do get stuck in this loop. And so what I want to share with you today is something I've learned along my path, along my journey, that is going to make a world of difference to you. I'm going to share one really simple strategy, one really simple way of looking at this that I think is going to be a huge game changer for you, because this is literally the fastest way to release the pressure of perfection. Okay? So, why am I telling you this? Why are we talking about perfectionism? Well, I know what it's like to be in this place, as I'm sure many of you do, in one way or another. And I remember when I had a child a few years ago, when I had a baby, this really came to my forefront because there were things I thought I had to do, I thought I should do, and it almost seemed like everything I did was wrong. And when I had a baby, I realized there are just things you can't do. You're not going to get it all done. You're not going to be able to finish everything on your to-do list. You're not going to be able to make everything work for everyone, including you. And that was one time I really had to start accepting things as they are. And it got me to this humble place. And it was really difficult to do. And it actually took me a long time to get over. However, perfectionism, wearing this badge of honor, right? Being obsessed with it, it's a harmful trait, and it can really be detrimental to you long term. Because when you look at it, when you really boil down to it, perfectionist tendencies, they are rooted in insecurity and fear. So it's all about you not feeling good enough and you being afraid of being judged or failing or something that isn't ideal. Okay? You create these high expectations, yet your inner world is a total mess. You are a total disaster inside, even though outside you may have it all together. And ultimately, a lot of perfectionists are high achievers. They strive for efficiency and effectiveness, yet studies have shown, research has actually shown that those who try to be perfectionist and do it all right, they tend to achieve less than just regular high achievers. Okay. And so perfectionism is not a standard you want to be proud of, because you can still have a high quality of life. You can still have a high standard for yourself and not have this need to be a perfectionist. Okay. So there are three things I want to really point out, three concepts that I think tie into this idea of perfectionism. And the first is habit. Okay. So you may be in the habit of perfectionism. Habit is all about behavior. A habit is a thought that you keep thinking. It's a belief. A belief is a thought you keep thinking, and it's something that leads to a certain action. And so when you have these habits, maybe, for example, a habit is staying up late and risking your health to make sure your work done is right. It's the actual behavior. So this is the physical doing. The second concept I want to bring your attention to is something called a paradigm. So this is your belief system, and your belief system is often results in a collection of habits. So each of your belief systems that you have, so maybe you believe I must do everything right or others will judge me. That will lead to a certain set of habits. Okay, so that will lead to you doing certain things in a certain way. So that's your paradigm, that's your belief system. Or I have to do this perfectly or I'll amount to nothing in life. That's a belief system that will have a certain set of behaviors. And I'm going to just cancel all of that, because that does not serve you. Okay. Now, you will have habits and you will have beliefs, and these things can be really strongly rooted inside you. Now, something even like one of your paradigms, one of your deep-rooted belief systems that I think will really impact all of the others at an even more core level is something called self-image. Okay. And this really does have the strongest pull, because this is your identity. This is how you believe, who you believe you are. This is how you believe you're going to show up in life. And often when I use this example a lot, if you're not academically inclined, maybe let's say you're in grade school and the teacher says you're not a good speller. You take on the identity of not being a good speller. I'm not a good speller. And then every time it comes to a spelling test, you don't do well. Versus if that teacher had said, wow, you can be a really great speller. You didn't spell very well on this exam. You're not taking on that identity, because you can still have an identity of being a great speller, yet you're not taking on that identity of being a poor speller. Same thing with a perfectionist, okay? So you may have perfectionist tendencies, but I want you to ask yourself, are you taking on the identity of being a perfectionist? Okay, so I want you to really think about that for yourself. Close your eyes. Just breathe it in. Are you exhibiting perfectionist tendencies, or are you taking on the identity of being a perfectionist? Okay. So the fastest way to release this pressure of perfection is to change the identity, is to change the self-image, is to improve and upgrade the self-image. Because as soon as you update and upgrade the image you hold of yourself, of the true you want to and are meant to be, that's when everything changes. So there's a book by Maxwell Maltz. It's called Psycho-Cybernetics. And Maxwell Maltz was an American cosmetic surgeon. And he wrote Psycho-Cybernetics in the 1960s. And this book and a lot of his ideas ultimately led to the whole idea of self-image psychology. And it's been used by pretty much every self-help guru under the sun since then. It's a real foundational piece of literature. And when it comes to this idea of Psycho-Cybernetics, he realized that some people, no matter how much surgery they got, they would always feel bad about themselves. And then there were some that they got some surgery and all of a sudden their life was flipped around. And it was ultimately because of the image they held inside. It was the image they held in their heart. It was the image they held in their head. And no matter what you do physically to yourself, no matter what clothes you wear, no matter how many more toys you can acquire or buy, until your inner self-image really reflects that which you want and are truly on the outside, there's going to be a disconnect. It's like you're going to be like two ships passing in the night. You want to really blend the image that you have of yourself truly, truly, truly with your external world. And that's what really happened with those people that did make a change, right? Their external world didn't reflect how they truly felt about themselves. They had some surgery and boom, their life is amazing because they felt good about themselves on the inside. That was their self-image, and that was just a little external piece to help give them that boost to feel and express even more confidence. Whereas those that didn't feel good on the inside, they just kept looking for more. Let's get another nose job. Let's get another facelift. Let's get more and more surgery. And nothing was ever good enough, no matter how apparently beautiful they were. And so the same thing happens in this world of perfectionism, right? Nothing is ever good enough. Nothing is ever good enough. And if you are going to maintain this identity of having to be perfect, having to be, ready to show up on social media all the time, if you keep stepping into that identity of perfection, nothing's going to change. And literally the fastest way to change that perfectionist tendency, to change all the habits that you express as a perfectionist, to change all of the belief systems you have as a perfectionist, is to shift that self-image, to shift how you see yourself and how you perceive yourself at the deepest level. Now, I'm not saying this is easy, okay? I'm saying it can be very fast, especially in the grand scheme of things. You've probably been doing these things most of your life. It can be a very, very quick process. However, it's not always easy or simple for everyone. This is a big part, a big component of the group program I work in. We cover a whole lesson on self-image. I put on a whole self-image boot camp a couple of times last year, right? We spend a lot of time really learning about what self-image is and discovering the self-image that you truly dream and desire. Another process that's been so helpful for my clients has been the personal breakthroughs, right? Sometimes there are things that you can't see in yourself. You're like, I know there's more. It's just covered up. It's almost like the grass and in the spring that had leaves on it from the fall before. Until you rake the leaves up, you won't let fresh grass grow. Sometimes we've just piled stuff up one on top of another. We have all this baggage that we're carrying, and it doesn't matter what we try, we can't release it. It's almost like we're stuck under this pile of leaves, and we want to get out. We want to get let out. We want to see the sunlight. We're like this fresh grass or this fresh flower, and we need a little help. And so we work with clients one-on-one, my team and I, to help them really get rid of the baggage, to get rid of the emotional baggage, to literally do an emotional closet cleanup through a personal breakthrough process. And so both things are fantastic. Both things can absolutely work. There's a time and place for different things if you need help. Ultimately, you want to step into your best self-image. And if you are feeling like you you want more, let us know. Like, reach out to our team and we can have a conversation and see how we can help you. Now, a few other components that are related to self-image, like I just want to point out that I think will be really helpful, is if you feel like you are a perfectionist, you've got to acknowledge it, right? Acknowledge it and really look at it. At what level am I this perfectionist, or do I have these perfectionist tendencies? Am I labeling myself as a perfectionist, or do I simply have perfectionist tendencies? Okay, so look at the depth and really acknowledge it. Stop labeling yourself. If you have been calling yourself a perfectionist or a recovering perfectionist, stop it. Find another name. Isn't it better to be someone that's progressing forward, learning through life, loving life, than a recovering perfectionist? Someone that's embracing the challenges ahead. So find another label for yourself if you are identifying yourself as that. Really, you can also look at what it's feeding. Often when we have these behaviors that we exhibit, we have other benefits that we're gaining. Maybe we're getting attention from other people. Maybe we call this secondary gain. I did an entire talk about secondary gain, right? So there's often something that we are benefiting from under the surface. And if you take the time to really explore it through some journaling exercises, through perhaps a discovery call, or even a personal detailed history where we peel the layers of your unconscious onion to help you really uncover what's at the root, that can be a really powerful thing, is to start recognizing what that secondary gain is that you're getting. Really shifting from a fixed mindset where you're totally results driven to a growth mindset and embracing the challenges along the way. Realize that you're never going to fully be there. You're on your way. If you don't have something in your life today, it's not that you're never going to have it. You're just not there yet. And Carol Dweck, she did some beautiful work. She's an American psychologist, and she's done some incredible work. She also has a TED Talk about this idea of growth mindset versus fixed mindset, because people that are in the perfectionist zone tend to be very fixed mindset driven, versus those that are growth oriented. They realize failure fuels you forward, and you can move forward in spite of obstacles. So it really is just a matter of adjusting your standards, of really watching your self-talk and giving yourself a reason to move on. You don't need to wait until everything is perfect, and be willing to test and tweak along the way. So this all sounds simple. And if this is enough, I hope this is enough to let some of you run off and completely change something, okay? And I want to hear your stories. I want to hear how you've really taken this idea of the behaviors, of the habits, and of the identity of perfectionism, and really played with them to know where you're at, so you can move forward and start making the changes you're looking for. If you are that perfectionist at the identity level, which a lot of people are, then that is literally the fastest way for you to change it. And if you're exhibiting perfectionist tendencies yet not labeling yourself as a perfectionist, then upgrade your self-image just a little bit more and really think of who you, as the best version of you, is meant to be. Okay, who is that person? Is that person someone running around afraid of what people are thinking of them? Is that someone that's afraid of being judged? Is that someone that is afraid of making a mistake? Or is that someone that really just owns up to their mistakes, is in that growth mindset, is learning, is honest, and is vulnerable? So really take a look at where you are on the continuum and step back, move forward, and make it happen. So if you guys are interested in learning more about how to really step out of this fixed mindset into a growth mindset, in terms of how to get unstuck from perfectionism and really upgrade your self-image, then reach out to me, reach out to my team. You can drop a comment in the chat, or you can even sign up for an introductory, we have what we call session 1 of our breakthrough session, which is a detailed personal history where we can help you peel the layers of your onion and at least give you some of these answers to questions that you may be having trouble uncovering yourself. So I'm going to just ask my team to pop that in the chat, and I hope you guys have a beautiful, beautiful day. Thank you so much for tuning in, everyone. Thanks, Kelsey. Thanks, Susan. Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Leslie. And if you guys have any questions, pop them in the chat. We will be checking it and answering them along the way. So bye for now.